It's going
All
now.
right, we're live again, and we're back. Yes, it's been a minute, Archie. It's been a minute, everybody out there, that we've done a podcast with the MMAFightPass.com. You know me and Archie, the HAMMERFIST podcast. We've been busy, man. A lot of things have been happening these last few months. Archie's got his new business going. I got things going, and sometimes life throws a curveball at you, and things get put on hold. But we're back. We got an awesome guest today, guys. You guys know the guy right here, Dewey Cooper. He's known as the Black Cobra, right, Dewey? The Black Cobra?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we got. You guys might have seen Dewey most recently in the corner of Francis Ngannou as Francis won the heavyweight championship in the UFC. But besides that, me and Archie, we met Dewey way back in the day here locally. Back in Lemoore at the Tachi Palace when the WEC was here, old school days when Dewey would work with some of the local fighters, and he would work with all types of different people. Anyhow, that's how I met you, Dewey. Thanks for coming on to the show. We really appreciate it. Archie, you know Dewey a little bit as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. I've seen Dewey out there in the circuit, but I personally met Dewey about a year and a half ago, maybe two, and under circumstances in the emergency room where you don't want to meet someone, but at the same time, it was a pleasure. One of our fighters got injured. One of your fighters got injured that night too, right, Dewey?
Yes.
Yeah,
Bellator fights.
What was that all about, Archie?
Say it again?
What was that all about? What happened?
Well, I was out there at Bellator with Albert Gonzalez in his corner, and he had a freak accident where, in this case, he actually broke his tibia and fibia right in the off of a leg kick. And there was a Bellator in San Jose. And we were in the emergency room, saw Dewey there with his with the wrestling coach, I believe, also was with you, right?
Yes. Yeah,
And,
I was with the fighter Daniel Strauss. Daniel Strauss was an ex-Bellator champion. He had a motorcycle accident and was paralyzed, guys.
Oh.
Paralyzed from neck down. And after, a year and a half, almost 2 years, he recovered, got back into training and all of that. And he became the first guy to ever be paralyzed and end up rehabbing and getting into the cage again to fight. So That was that night. After his fight, he had a hard fight. He had to go to the emergency room and get a few injuries looked at. But yeah, that was Daniel Strauss, man. It was an incredible feat he did. That was his second fight back from being paralyzed, man. It was a crazy emotional fight, and that's where I met you at the emergency room there from the Bellator fights.
Yeah, no, we've been keeping up with you, Dewey. We've been definitely watching what you've been doing out there, and a lot of great things. That COVID doesn't stop real professionals like you guys, right?
That's right. We worked the entire time because this training martial arts thing is a lifestyle for us. Of course, we follow protocols and all of that, but man, let me tell you, when you have the desire that we have to work and improve, nothing can stop you. I didn't care if we had to go to the park and train right there in the middle of the grass. If we had to go to Mount Charleston in solitude and train, we made sure we trained every day, 6 days a week.
That's so awesome, man. That's a great thing about a true martial artist is it gives you that desire to keep on pushing. And man, we don't let. Hey, like I said, man, there's been a lot of this last year has been real crazy for a lot of us.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not going to talk about myself, but everybody's had a lot going on this last year. But what I've noticed about the true martial artists that I know, they find a way to keep on going, and everybody's following protocols, but they're not stopping what they're doing. And like, we go outside, we'll go out into the front yard in my driveway and put mats down if I have to keep rolling. So we don't stop. We keep pushing on. But this COVID, yeah, it's been crazy, man. It's been hard, but it looks like there's I see the light at the end of the tunnel with this COVID.
Yes.
I'm sure you guys do too.
Yes.
I feel like things are getting ready to open back up in a major way, and man, I can't wait, man. I was just looking forward to this moment when we could say this and we can get back out there without the mask on and get the gyms flowing again and everything. Archie, you've been crazy. Archie, if you guys haven't checked that out already, Archie's got the new restaurant, Universal Grill, right, Archie?
Yeah, I've been busy myself. Semi-entrepreneur, opened a restaurant with a buddy of mine in October when they said not to because of COVID. I said, hell, we're fighters. We're not, quitters. What the hell? And so, there was a lot of stuff going on during COVID. A lot of gyms still training. It's amazing how, Mr. Dana White kept things going and kept a lot of people working. And no, it's been, a real good time during these COVID times. Unfortunately, a lot of people died. Don't get me wrong, but you just the strongest survive, like they say, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
It is it's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate. Well, Dewey, I want to talk about your recent accomplishments for sure, but Dewey, what this show is all about, we like to look at the history of guys like you. And I know at some point, like right now, you're a coach and you've worked with all types of fighters, local dudes, lower class fighters, the top of the rank. You seem like the type of guy that is, if a guy's willing to do the work, you don't have a certain standard. You're willing to work with all types of different people, which is great. It's awesome. But I want to go back into when you were a young man, Dewey, in your childhood. What got you started in the martial arts, and what was the first style of martial arts that you approached?
Well, what got me involved in martial arts, you guys are Californians, so you already know. I grew up in Los Angeles, and in the early 80s in LA, it was pretty violent. The Crip and Blood thing had exploded. A lot of gang violence was all over the city. And I got a lot of street fights as a kid because I'm the youngest of 8 in my family, and I guess I looked older than what people thought I was. So I was always getting into street fights and guys trying to bully me. And by the way, in that era, there were bullies, but no one got bullied because everyone just fought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was a different era, but guys would try to start trouble, and I was never the type to run away. I'd always swing it out and fight. So there was a Muay Thai gym opened up near where we lived. You guys all know it, the Jet Center, and I started doing Muay Thai, and I never stopped. But I originally got involved in martial arts, to answer your question, to better suit myself and defend myself in street situations, street applications. It wasn't to become a champion and all of that. I just want to be able to beat people up on the streets who always tried to pick on me. And it materialized into something much greater.
Right.
Yeah, it definitely did. Now, the Muay Thai down there seemed like a lot more popular back then. Around here in the Central Valley, what was real popular here was karate and kung fu for some reason.
Yes.
You didn't see hardly any Muay Thai gyms here. There was a whole lot of like different Goju karate and just different styles of karate and kung fu. We didn't really see the Muay Thai come over here until like the first UFCs. And as UFC started progressing, then Muay Thai started getting a little more popular. At that gym you're talking about, who were some of the main coaches? Like who was one of the first dudes that you really saw that put the time?
Well, you had several guys there. You had Benny the Jet. You had his brother Blinky. You had Peter Cunningham. Guys, so many great coaches. Who else? Dennis Alexio would come through there. So many badass fighters way back then. Remember, I was a kid. I was in elementary school. So many incredible fighters that I look up to this very day. Peter Cunningham was my particular favorite. But so many guys went through there, and then Eddie Flash Newman, Ray Wizard, Cecil Peebles. So many masters went through and came by, and of course the karate thing was hot, in LA too. Muay Thai was just started getting there. Benny the Jet was fighting in Japan and all over. Thai boxing was not popular in the States, but it had already blown up in Asia and Europe, and we were some of the first generation guys to do Muay Thai.
You named 2 guys right off the bat that I know the names of, Benny the Jet and Dennis Alexis. Is that his name? Alexis?
Alexio.
Those are 2. Now, were those guys at that time, they were fighting? coaching?
Absolutely, they were fighting, man. Yeah, world champions. You know, they were definitely fighting.
Dude, that's pretty awesome. And Cecil Peoples, a lot of people don't realize that he was a kickboxer back then.
Yeah, absolutely. See, Cecil Peoples is a master, man. He's like, you know, I guess everyone knows him as the
ref.
very diplomatic, professional, intelligent, you know, esteemed man he is. But yeah, he was definitely a martial artist and a fighter as well. They were all before me. These were the people that I looked up to. Yeah.
Hey, Dewey, you know, you're saying that at a young age, you know, as Tom was asking, you did that for certain reason, protection, to learn and, you know, and protect yourself. But at what age or when did you realize, like, shit, I want to go compete in an organized sports instead of, you know, the street, right? I mean, even though that's where I had to start.
Yeah. Well, I started competing early. After a year of training, I started competing. They used to have smokers all over. Smokers was like a 1 minute fight, you know, with shin pads on and headgear and whatever. And yeah, they let the guys fight. And they're having smokers all over Southern California. It had blew up in a hot way. So yeah, I was doing smokers and all of that at an early age.
And how many years did you compete? Because you competed at a high level too, right? So
absolutely, I competed basically since I was 10 years old, all the way till I was 42 years old.
Wow.
You know, and not to mention other things in life. You know, going to school, playing football, basketball, running track. You know, I had a regular life, but I always did martial arts throughout all of that. Played college football, still did my martial arts thing, kickbox, all through that. I had a very long amateur career and a very long professional career. You know, my dad was working at Edwards Air Force Base, you know, out, you know, in California, outside of Lancaster and all of that. And he got transferred to Area 51, Yucca Mountain. And then we moved from California to Las Vegas. And you know, it was a great thing for me because Vegas was really a hotbed. I joined the first Muay Thai school here in Vegas called Decozine, where I really became the Black Cobra. I was a kid in California. I was now becoming an older teenager in Vegas. And I was fighting competitively already, and I found a love for the sport and these sort of things. Won championships all over the country, won championships internationally as an amateur, and then we turned professional. I was with Eddie Flash Newman at the time, but then I moved to One Kick's gym and stayed with my trainer from the beginning of my professional career all the way through until I retired. I actually haven't even retired until I stopped fighting. We'll say it like that.
The Black Cobra might come back.
Yeah, Master One Kick Nick Blumgren. And you know, I definitely I definitely might. People are coming back to fight. They're doing these Legends Leagues and stuff like that. I stay in shape. I still train to this day. I spar with my guys. I'm definitely down to come back for a fight if it's the right business situation, and it won't take too much from the business of coaching these fighters that I have.
Right.
You talked about your father a little bit. A lot of guys don't. Did you have you and your dad have a good relationship growing up through all this?
Well, remember, guys, this was the 80s. Things were a little different. My dad was, you know, a Vietnam veteran, Force Recon Marine. So as an adult, I can say, yeah, we had a good relationship. When I was in it, it was like, hell no. But it was only because he was a Marine, man. He was very strict. There was no gray area. You know, if you mess up, you got your ass beat. And it was simple as that. I'm not talking about this timeout that started in the 90s. I'm talking about the shit smacked out of you, you know. Open hand, but you know, my dad was 6'5", 280 pounds, a big, strong man, and yeah, he didn't play around, man. I took a lot of beatings, and that further, I think it further made me more of an aggressive kid. Honestly, when I think about it on a psychiatry level or psychology level, but at the time, man, everyone was getting their asses beat by their parents. And
I hear you.
My mom was the same, man. My mom was the same way.
Last thing I'll say about it, I don't want to paint the wrong picture. It was only if you made mistakes, if you messed up. It was like my dad had a bad day at work and came home and beat you.
Right.
If he told you to cut the grass at 7 a.m. and 7:01 came and you weren't cutting the grass, you got a beating. If he told you to be home by 8, you come in at 8:01, you got a beating. It was no gray area. He wanted you to follow the rules, do good in school. If you made a C, it was a beating. It was just very strict rules. And he was a military man. It took me a long time to understand why he was that way. But as an adult, I really appreciated it because, guys, if you grew up in the military the way he did, basically it's like this. Let's say if you get dropped off in the middle of the jungle, you're fighting in Vietnam, and they say meet at 0800 hours, the guys flying in the helicopters to pick you up. If you get there too late, the helicopter gets blown out of the sky. Everyone gets killed because the helicopters get there. You're not there. There's no one to pick up. Boom, everyone dies. If you come too early, same thing. The enemy know you're there. They ambush you. Boom, helicopter dies. So my dad was all about being very punctual. Being late, things like this were definitely not okay. And it was strict consequences. As a kid, I didn't understand these things, and I thought it was very mean or extreme. But as a man, I realized, man, he was actually giving me great lessons, and I was the one messing up. We blame people like our parents for being mean to us or being strict. All we got to do is follow the rules, man. And we follow the rules, I guarantee not many parents are going to be that bad. I got my ass beat a lot, needless to say, because I messed up a lot, and there was no talking to, it was a beating. And that's just the way we grew up, in that era, man. I was born in 1974, you know what I mean? There was no time out. You got your ass whipped, and you get beat in the stores, and other parents will look and celebrate a parent whipping your ass back then. Nowadays, you go to jail for that type of thing. So, it was crazy, man. But like I said, my dad deceased. My dad and my mom are both deceased now, and I miss them every day, and I love them to death. And as a man, I understood why my dad did all of that. So we had a great relationship. It was just the childhood was tough, and I came from a very strict childhood. Came from a very strict household, and it was just like that.
That's beautiful, man. Because that's beautiful. It just kind of resonates with the upbringing that was back then versus today, right? I mean, today, oh my gosh, I think these kids, just have it too easy, and just that upbringing and that timeness, the being there on time. I mean, all that matters in life, and you saw it early. That's amazing.
Yes, yeah. And remember, my dad. When I think about it as a man, last thing I'll say, it wasn't just malice or malicious. It was more strategic. And I can say that because it'll be like Monday morning. I'm getting up, running late for school, trying to grab my shit and make the bus because I missed the bus. That's a beating too. And you run as you're running out of the house. He say, Sunday, cut the grass at 7:05, whatever it is. Mind you, this is Monday morning. I'm rushing to get to the bus. I hear him, okay, Daddy. I call him Daddy, and you run out. He don't say a word all week. I went through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sunday at 7:05, if that lawnmower ain't on, that grass getting cut, it was a beating. And I used to think as a kid, man, that's mean. That's not right. He could have told me yesterday, don't forget to cut the grass tomorrow. These type of, reminders. He didn't do that. And that's why I say it wasn't malicious. It was more strategic. He was actually trying to teach me and teach all of the kids certain values, certain parameters of where you have to be professional and do things that you agree to do and have integrity and honor. So like I said at the beginning of this whole coming about how I grew up, I actually appreciate it now because I understand why I got my ass whooped so much. I was messing up, and it made me a better man. I'm more disciplined now. Nothing breaks me. Even COVID, stress, bad things happening. I mean, I'm just like, I'm titanium now, and it's all because of the way my dad brought me up, and that made me a good fighter. That's what made me in the streets. When people mess with me in the streets, I've never been bullied, and I'm not trying to sound like a tough guy. I would fight, you know what I mean, right away, because it was just the way I was brought up. It was like no gray area. It's either cool or it's violence, and I learned how to monitor that and control that through martial arts. But the original soul and fighting spirit I got was definitely instilled in me through my father.
Now, how many brothers and sisters were there?
There's 8 of us in all. I'm the youngest of 8. I have 3 brothers and 4 sisters, so it's 4 boys, 4 girls.
So not only did you get a beating by your dad, but you got a beating by your older siblings also.
Oh, all the time, man.
You know, you're the
Especially
youngest.
my 2 older sisters. Till I was in 5th grade, they used to beat me up. After 5th grade, they couldn't beat me up anymore.
All right, there you go.
I started doing Muay Thai, learning the clinch knees and the hard low kicks. Got my
That was
left
it.
hand on point, and then it was no more fights with my older sisters at that point.
Once they saw that you had that tie clinch, it was over.
That's right. Because remember, between me and my youngest brother, I have 2 sisters. So my youngest brother close to me is much older than me. So I was in elementary. He was already getting out of high school.
So when you guys made that move over to Las Vegas, Dewey, you were already engulfed in the martial arts. Was that one of the first things on your mind, like where to find a spot to train in Vegas, or what?
Absolutely. Training in Vegas and then going to a school with a good football team. But yeah, for sure.
But did you play college football?
Yeah, I played college football for UNLV. Then I transferred out to Santa Monica College. I went to a JC. And then after that, my career basically ended. A lot of injuries and stuff like that.
Man, playing for UNLV and all this, no wonder you're such a because to me you seem like a pretty punctual, disciplined coach, and I'm sure you appreciate that out of your guys, your students and fighters that are fighting for you. But UNLV, that's no joke, man. That's pretty legit.
Yeah, you know, D1. The football team wasn't good, and the coach was getting switched about every 3-4 seasons, stuff like that. You know. Not the greatest time of my life, but I did actually play football. But, you know, fighting is where I was supposed to be. Though I thought I loved football more. I fought before I played football, so I just didn't see it at the time. Fighting was more my true calling more than anything else.
And it got you. It definitely got you in the end. I bet the football though probably kept your conditioning pretty good though.
Well, we always train hard because way back then we were doing road work and we hit the push-ups, pull-ups, and sit-ups after training. So I was always in good condition. Yeah, football definitely helped you get in shape too. But just being a martial artist, we did push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups every day. Road work at least 5 times a week way back then. I've been a runner my whole life. I ran track, I ran the hurdles, I played basketball. I was always athletic and did a lot of things. Real fast, I just emailed you guys a picture of us with the belt.
Yeah, we got to talk. I want to talk about that, man.
You got that old picture of, you got to put the picture of the new team with the belts and all of that.
Yeah, let me get that one going there, man.
Let me see. I'll get you.
Yeah.
Get you another one.
Hey, at what point, Dewey, did you decide that you wanted to be a coach?
You know, as you know, in martial arts, when you start progressing in the belts and stuff, they start having you teach the young kids classes or the white belts or whatever. So I've been training people since I was probably 16 years old. When I was in Vegas as a 16, 17-year-old, I had all these friends that were doing Muay Thai, Taekwondo, you know, Japanese karate, all these things. Every Saturday we would hook up and train with each other and then have have big sparring sessions anyway. So I was teaching guys Muay Thai way back then. 1989, 1990, I was teaching guys Muay Thai. It was just something we always did. As far as becoming a real coach, my first professional fighter that I had was 1999, Jessica Ranger Rakosi. She fought at the Tachi Palace a lot. She had a boxing contract through the Tachi Palace. But I've been training people for a long time. But when I became a real coach, when I started training Jessica, we ended up winning 5 world titles together in boxing. We unified the 135-pound division. We were considered the best. She was considered the best female boxer all time at 135 back in 05, 06. They rated her that. So that's when training became like, yo, this is a real thing. Not just like in class where you're teaching kids or teaching the lower belts. So to answer your question, I really started taking it serious in 1999.
Yeah, and Jessica, the boxer, she had a big name out here.
Yeah, Jessica Ranger Rakosi. We're the one gave her her nickname, Ranger Rakosi. And I'll throw one at you since you guys are Central Californians. My next fighter was sent to me by Christian Printup. You guys remember Christian?
Oh, Christian.
Oh, yeah.
Great guy. Was the promoter for Tachi Palace and WEC. Did Christian's hands down greatest promoter ever. Christian.
He's a good friend of ours.
Yeah, he's in Western New York doing his thing now. Entertainment director for a casino out there. Christian is one of the greatest guys ever, man. We owe Christian a lot. But anyway, Christian sent me my second pro boxer, actually. A guy from you guys' neck of the woods. He was from Fresno, Frank Mundahar. And Frank was a really good boxer. That's how I started training Frank. And Frank was my first professional male boxer. And we went on to have 14 straight knockouts out of our first 15 fights. And Frank, he's a Central Californian. Frank Mundahar, we called him Frankie Fist Mundahar. And after that, after Frankie, man, everyone started reaching out to me from all over the world to train them and this and that, and it just got to where it is, man. I trained so many fighters when I was still fighting. There were shows at the Tachi Palace where I fought the main event, and I had 2 or 3 fighters on the undercard fighting. I worked their corners and everything. So it's just coaching and fighting was always something we did, being from that martial arts background. When you were at lower level belts, you'd have to sweep the floor, mop the floor, and all of that. When you became high level belts, you teach your classes so a few days a week. So I was so used to it just from that culture of being a martial artist.
Yeah, not everybody has a great knack for it like you do. There's another local guy. I wonder if you remember. He fought. He's from here too. Rafael Del Rio. He's a friend of ours.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't even talk to me about Rafael. Remember, Rafael's coach too. I trained Rafael. Rafael, I guarantee if you called him right now, he'll say one of my greatest coaches ever was Dewey Cooper.
I just talked to him earlier.
Yeah, Rafael's my guy, man. I love Rafael. He came to Vegas several times to train. I went out there to train. Rafael buff now doing his body thing. Super swole. You know what I mean?
Big old dude, man.
Yeah, Rafael was always strong, man. Rafael was always very strong and very athletic too. So yeah, Rafael, that's my brother, man. I love Rafael to death.
Nice.
Del Rio, I trained him too, but I my first 2 were Jessica Rakosi and Frank Mundahar. And like I said, after that, Rafael came. So many guys came. My gosh, like so many guys from Central California came, and then all over U.S. and then international guys. It was crazy, man. It all started right there with Jessica Rakosi and Frank Mundahar, though. That's where my BKSS Black Cobra striking systems originated, right there at the Tachi Palace, right there with them, with the Central Californian Frank Mundahar, and of course the Canadian Jessica Rakosi. So, yeah, man, I got a lot of love for Cali, Central Cali, and Southern Cali, and of course the Tachi Palace. Man, we had so many fights there.
You got some serious
Raphael,
ties over here. Go ahead, Tom.
I talked to him a little bit, but he's working today. But a lot of props to Raphael, and Raphael has nothing but respect for you, man. Nothing but good stuff to say about you all the time. He says you're one of the greatest coaches he ever had. So yeah, props to Raphael. We'll get him on here another time with you, hopefully.
Yeah, man. Listen, Raphael will tell you how crazy we used to train, man. Beast mode. Raphael respect me because I'm the type of coach that I sweat with my guys. And I'm old now. When I was young, I did the runs with them. I sparred with them. We trained like every day, like real work, not this new school, no hard sparring type stuff and all of that. And remember, as an old person, I got respect for the new school, but certain things are already great. We can't just change and modify everything. And a lot of people's position on sparring is what I kind of, is really my cup of tea nowadays. But anyway, Rafael Del Rio, I'll tell you, man, we had some monster training sessions, man.
Yeah, I like that guy a lot, man. I like that guy a lot.
No matter how hard he wanted to work, he'll tell you, I was with it. I'm like, let's go. We worked, man. We really worked.
Wow.
Hey, and he'll listen too. Is the good thing about him is he's not too hard headed. Like he'll listen to what you have to teach him. You know what I mean? So now you're in Vegas, Dewey, and before we went live, guys, we were talking a little bit, and you were saying that you got your own school and program out in Vegas. Talk a little bit about that. Tell us how a guy can go out there and check that out.
Yes. I've been in Vegas many years now. I was a coach at the TMT, man, with a boxing club for 10 years. I trained under Jeff Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s uncle, as my boxing coach since the 90s. He worked my fights when I had professional boxing fights. He was my coach. Master One Kick Nick Blunger was my longtime Muay Thai kickboxing coach. So in Vegas, I've been around a lot of gyms. Master Nick's One Kicks gym. I was a member there over 25 years and a coach there over 15 years. Mayweather Boxing Club, I was a coach. Extreme Couture's, I go to coach. Richard Steele's boxing gym, I was one of the head coaches there for many years. Mm-hmm. So I've been a coach at many gyms. I've accumulated a bunch of fighters, and I just felt like it was time to have my own gym. So the gym is located on 659 Cape Horn Street. Cape Horn, like you're blowing a horn. 659 Cape Horn in Henderson, Nevada. Henderson is it's like a neighboring city to Las Vegas. It's like a suburb to Vegas. So it might as well, it's in Vegas, but it's in Henderson, if you know what I mean.
So is it on the outside of the casino
gym
area?
We specialize in all forms of martial arts, from mixed martial arts, kickboxing, boxing, jiu-jitsu, and wrestling. And our entire wrestling ground program is ran by the 2020 Wrestling Hall of Famer Bubba Jenkins. So we have a great, all the striking, everything is ran by me. You got a 2008 Master of Martial Arts Hall of Fame striking coach and 9-time world championship winning coach. Francis Ngannou was my 9th world championship I won as a coach there. It's a very inviting place. My gym's open 24 hours. All are invited, whether you're a power lifter, bodybuilder like Rafael Del Rio, or you're into martial arts, you want to learn how to wrestle or do jiu-jitsu, we are definitely the gym for you. BKMMA Team Relentless at Big Scary Gym, 659 Cape Horn, Henderson, Nevada.
You guys hear it right there. Hey, and you don't have to, pretty much if you're a dude off the street that's even a new guy, say I'm a new guy and I'm coming up, but I'm willing to listen and learn and follow the rules. Can I get in there, a new dude?
Absolutely. We have We have beginners classes. We have what we call civilian classes, and we have advanced. We have the amateur fight team, and we have the advanced classes for the professionals. Any level is welcome. We have kids program. Any level is welcome. So yeah, um, obviously, if you want to if you're an enthusiast and just want to learn how to defend against attacks in the street or whatever, protect yourself, we have certain classes for that. If you're serious about wanting to compete in boxing, mixed martial arts, or kickboxing, or Muay Thai, then we have a certain class for that. Um, and of course, I make sure when my guys are in fight camp, they get individual work. So if you're an aspiring fighter and you think you have what it takes, come see me, man. We'll give you a workout. We'll do our best to accommodate you. And once you get serious about fighting, we'll help you, get in the circulation of getting fights and everything, the whole shebang, man. I am a fight coach more so than just the type of guy who wants to train kids and women and basic people. No disrespect to them, I do it. But my main love, my main calling from birth is pugilism. So the fight guys, anyone involved in fighting, won the fight, they're going to train with me, whether they're amateurs, beginners, or pros. Because if you want to fight, I want you here. I want to help you fulfill your dreams and become the best in the world if it's meant for you to be so.
You hear that, guys? A lot of people are real nervous and intimidated to go into somewhere like that. But obviously, I can see. I mean, you've got a calling for working with some of the best in the world. And when I saw you walk out with Francis, I didn't know that you were coaching Francis. But everybody was, that night we were watching the heavyweight fight, and Francis is an up and coming dude, and I'm real interested in him. I like him. He seems like a cool dude. But we're all watching, and I saw you walking out in his corner, and I go, "Hey, man, that's the guy that used to come to Lemoore, and he worked out. He worked with our friends. That's Dewey Cooper." Uh, how did that? How did you two link up? Did you reach out to him? Did he reach out to you? Did his
No,
coaches reach out to you? What
yeah,
happened there? How'd that work?
yeah. It sounds crazy. All the fighters I have over 20, 25 fighters right now that I train exclusive. That I'm, I coach. I've never reached out to any fighter ever. Even Jessica Rakosi, my first champion, the one who really helped me create BKSS, Black Cobra Striking Systems. I've never reached out. Ray Sefu reached out to me and had me train her. Her and Ray Sefu were friends. She needed a coach, so Ray reached out to me. I've never reached out to anyone. The way I got Francis Ngannou, people don't realize I've been training him for 4 years now. I've been training Francis Ngannou since before the fight that really catapulted his career when he knocked out Overeem. If you watch that fight, I was in his corner. I was the first coach that he worked with when he came from France to the United States. And the way I got that offer and eventually job was Forrest Griffin. He works for the UFC. He runs the UFC Performance Institute. You got this French UFC fighter that's gonna make a move from Paris to Vegas. He needed a coach, so Forrest Griffin recommended that I coach Francis because he knew Francis was really boxing heavy. He loved boxing and all of that. So Forrest obviously felt like I'd be, the right fit for Francis. Anyway, Francis comes by the Mayweather gym one day, introduces himself to me. We talked, and a week later we ended up training together. We've been rocking out ever since.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was 2017. So that's how I got Francis. We've been working hard and all of that together. When they first hired me to train him, he still was with his French team also. So I trained him, and about 2 weeks before the fight, the French team would come out. 2 or 3 weeks they come out and also do what they do. And I was great with that. The MMA factory in France is a great great gym. They have an excellent coach, Coach Lopez. So I was like, cool, man. You know, you come to Vegas, but I know you started your career there. So whatever, man. I'm willing to accommodate you any way you need me. And, you know, the rest is history. We've been rocking out. We fought for the title against Stipe 3 years ago. We came up short, but we got it 3 weeks ago, and we won by knockout. So it's been a great journey, man. It's been a great journey with Francis Ngannou, and we expect many more great things to come.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool. So after the first fight with Stipe, like a coach like you, what do you do after a loss like that? I mean, what advice could you give to some of us coaches that are out here? You obviously went back to the gym. Did you guys study the fight a lot, or right after that fight, did you have some things in mind that you could change for the next camp against them?
Well,
what did you do to change it?
Anytime you're on a just incredible run, just knocking out the best fighters in the world in less than a round, the way Francis was doing, we were obviously disappointed with the loss to Stipe. I'm sure it's very disappointing to Francis as well. But I've been training, you know, over 36 years now, and I really understand. I understand events that transpire, and I understand the reality of a situation. Guys, when Francis fought Stipe Miocic the first time for the world championship, Francis had less than 4 years total of training. And when I say that, remember, guys, you guys see guys in the UFC, but they train and fought for lower organizations. They've probably been training since they were 17, 18 years old. They got 10 years worth of martial arts experience when they get to the UFC. Remember, Francis had no training. He was less than 4 years in the starting training when he fought Stipe Miocic. And you know, as you guys know, Francis is extremely talented. But that would be the only analogy I can make to you guys. That would have been like Kobe Bryant coming out of high school and being the best player in the NBA, hands down. Things like that just don't happen. You're not gonna have very little experience 99% of the time and beat the best in the world at something. You could beat some good guys, but when you get to that highest level, you know, it most of the time will be different. So I'm sorry about the long drawn out answers, but I want
I like it. I love it, man.
So we were obviously disappointed, but we understood that it came down to a lack of experience and just it not being our time. Francis was knocking everyone out, guys. He had his first 5-round fight. Well, not his first 5-round fight, but that was the first time he went 5 rounds. And, you know, it's just hard. We always make these Mike Tyson comparisons, but you guys remember when Mike was knocking everybody out in the first 3-4 rounds, and then when he started being taken deep, it was difficult for him. And Mike was a guy who had 100 and some amateur fights, had been fighting since he was 12 years old, 11 years old. You know what I mean? So imagine a guy with no experience being so talented that in a 4-year start of training period, he's the UFC fight for the UFC heavyweight title. It was just incredible to be there. Unfortunately, the victory didn't happen, but that's why it happened this time. If you guys go online and look at any interview I did interviews with Helen Yee, I did interviews with MMA Junkie, Mayweather Channel, all kind of podcasts and stuff in the UK. I told everyone before this fight, Francis will win. He looked spectacular. He showed the developmental skills he's developed. And I said, more so than anything, he's going to show patience. He's going to show experience. The biggest factor in the fight coming up, and this is before the fight, I said, is the experience Francis gained from fighting Stipe the first time. We go into the second fight, guys. Now Francis is almost 7 years into his career, right at 7 years into his career. We all agree it's a big difference out of 3 and 7, 3.5 and 7.
Sure.
He's 7 years in. He's lost a couple of fights. He went 5 rounds. Now he goes on that win streak, knocked 4 dudes out of the row all in the first rounds, wiping everybody out with no real trouble. We knew going into this fight, he finally had enough experience to be able to absorb the moment, not get too tight and just lose control of your power and your technique. We knew he was geared, he was prepared, he was ready. And it was no surprise to us that he was going to win it. We told everyone the story the entire time. You go back to those interviews, it's going to be freaky. We told everyone exactly what was going to happen, and it happened. I said it. Eric Nixon said it. Markel Martin's manager said it. Even Francis said it. And a lot of people doubted us, but we told you 7 years is a lot different than 3 years, guys.
And Francis, man, he seems like well, we've seen obviously some of the best fighters, they'll win, and then 1 or 2 things could happen off of a loss. Some guys, it just everything crumbles. And then some guys, they go back drawing board and they become better than ever.
Yes.
Yeah. How many times? Well, tell me this: is Francis? Is he a pretty open-minded, like humble type of a dude? Seems like he would be.
Yeah, he's super humble, man. Francis is a super humble, super awesome guy, man. His story is Academy Award type winning stories. It's his real life, the things he's been through, man, and the way at 26 years old he decided to chase his dream and become a boxer, which ended up making him become a mixed martial artist. His journey from Cameroon just to get to France, to be able to do this, being homeless and everything else. His story is crazy. How many guys we know who dig dirt for a living their whole life and decided one day, you know what, I'm going to change this. I love Mike Tyson. I'm going to do what Mike Tyson did. And they actually go do it. You know what I mean?
It doesn't happen a lot. It doesn't happen a lot.
I mean,
you got to be dedicated. You got to be a real guy to do that, man. You got to be a real
resiliency off the charts. And remember, we can lie to everybody else. We can't lie to ourselves. Those characteristics also showed in the rematch with Stipe. Those characteristics showed in the defeat to Stipe in the first time. Like you said, some guys get that loss like that when everyone thinks they're gonna kill everyone, and they mentally break, they psychologically break, they just can't get over it. He got better from it. And these are the characteristics and the attributes of real champions. Muhammad Ali lost. Sugar Ray Robinson lost. Julio Cesar Chavez lost. Mike Tyson lost. I mean, Lennox Lewis lost. All the greats lost except for one, Mr. Money Mayweather. Pacquiao lost. But the story and the fortitude of a true champion. One loss does not make you unworthy. One loss should be a learning lesson and make you come back with more fire, more knowledge, more IQ, and more passion to win. And that's exactly what Mr. Ngannou used these last 3.5 years to do. Develop his IQ, develop more patience, understand his attributes, understand that he can knock you out throwing his punch 50% power versus 100% power. All these attributes came into fruition because of the experience that he needed to really get in there and understand. And he's going to hold the title for a long time, guys.
I believe that.
So what's next for Francis? Is next fight gonna be in the cage or in a boxing ring?
Well, the way him and Tyson Fury going back and forth, who knows?
Right.
But Tyson's fighting Anthony Joshua. They got 2 dates, so a fight like that's gonna take some time. So Francis, he's not about waiting for people. So I'm sure most likely the next fight will be in the cage.
All right.
What do you think in the cage is coming up next? Would be next for Francis at this moment, or what would you like to see?
Well, what everyone's excited about. Francis is excited about it, so we're excited about it. And that's John Jones.
Yeah.
We're hoping that fight can be made. Of course, there's powers that be. There's the business side of this thing that has to make everyone feel comfortable. But that's definitely one fight that Francis said that he'd be willing to take anytime. And John Jones claims that, hey, he'll fight Francis too. So hopefully the business can be resolved, everyone made happy and feel good about the business side of it, so we can get down and see the Golden Mixed Martial Arts fight against the heavyweight phenom that will someday become the GOAT of MMA. So, I mean, we're looking forward to it.
So are they starting to negotiate on that fight yet, or are they the talks? They're in talks.
Well, they've been in talks since Francis won the belt. They talked about it at the post-fight conference, but I'm not sure the magnitude of that. I stay in my lane. I'm the coach. Markel Martin and Francis will hook up with Dana and figure all that out. All I care about is once we get a name, get a fight, get a date, that we prepare as good as possible and be successful by taking our victory fight night. All the business can get really difficult. That's not my position. I'm the coach. Eric Nixick and I will train Francis, get him ready for whomever he faces. Markel Martin and Francis and Dana, they'll take care of that part of it.
Crazy. Nowadays, I wouldn't be surprised to see anything, man. The boxing champ fight him, or anything could happen nowadays for the money, it seems like.
Yes.
I was going to ask you something, if you don't mind. It's kind of going off track a little bit here, but it's a fight that's getting ready to happen in a couple of days, and I'm going to watch it just for fun to watch it. But that Jake Paul versus Ben Askren, do you pay any attention to that kind of stuff, or what do you think about that?
Absolutely. One of the guys I trained was BJ Flores, who is Jake Paul's coach.
Okay.
Yeah. Jake Paul trains in Vegas a lot. And if you look at some of the videos of Jake knocking the hell out of people in the gym, I was refereeing several of those clips. So I've been in camp with Jake Paul. Before the Nate Robinson fight, I was in camp with those guys. Giving him advice here and there, and just refereeing and feeling the vibe. And what I can tell you, Jake Paul, man, he can box. He can box.
That's what I want to say right there.
I'm trying to tell you, he can box.
People just think he's talking and everything. But if you watch him, he looks like he could hit it, man.
Let me tell you, I brought guys in there for him to spar, and Jake Paul to put them on their wallet.
Really?
Not necessarily guys that I train, one guy, but then other guys that I know, coaches who have fighters and stuff like that. And every time, man, Jake Paul ain't lost yet. And not only haven't lost, he's been dropping dudes left and right, man. He definitely impressed me, because if you think about a guy with no fights, no experience, YouTube star, was on Disney Channel or something, I don't know, but you don't view him as a fighter. And then you go bring someone who is a fighter there, MMA guy, but, pretty tough, and Jake Paul knocks him out in 3 rounds, it make you say, wait up, you know what I mean? I know how BJ is. BJ and I are very close. So when BJ took over training Jake Paul, I knew he would get better, because BJ is a brilliant coach and a really smart guy and a hell of a boxer himself. So I knew Jake would get better. I didn't know he'd get this much better. And he's going to knock out Ben Askren for sure.
It's a dangerous fight for Ben, that's for sure.
I know people don't think it is, but I kind of agree with you guys, man.
Man, he's knocking out Ben. He's knocking out Ben. Sorry, he's knocking out Ben for sure.
Nice.
Are you gonna watch, Archie?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get on there.
Ben, he's been a champion on many different levels, but there are different rules to the game. And boxing, people really underestimate boxing because you're not kicking and clinching and grappling and all of that. But boxing is a very, very difficult sport. You have fewer weapons, which means you have to be more proficient with those weapons. And the pace of the boxing fight is faster. It's a lot of anaerobic activity going on. And, it's just, if your hands aren't going good, you're getting hit, you can't grab them and take them down. You can't kick them in the calf. You have to just figure it out. And, it's a difficult task. I don't see going past 3 rounds for sure. Jake Paul's gonna knock him out, guys. Jake Paul's throwing a good jab and a good hard straight right hand. He was looping the right hand against Nate Robinson a little bit. He's throwing it straight now. Ben Askren's in big trouble.
Well, thank you for answering that, man. It's something that we want to watch. Couple more questions, if you don't mind, my brother. We work with a lot of local youngsters from the area, here in the Central Valley. And this show, a big part of this show is not only learning history of different fighters like you, but getting advice and tips for these younger guys that are coming up. What advice could you give we got a lot of game young dudes here, man, that'll get in there and they'll fight in any of these promotions, maybe with not the greatest training or the greatest coaches. What advice would you give for some of these young guys that think they're serious about doing this sport, whether it's kickboxing? We got kickboxing coming to the Valley, or more, we have the cage fighting. What advice could you give for a young man that thinks he has what it takes to do this?
Well, first of all, you guys had kickboxing a long time. You guys used to have a Catholic cathedral in Bakersfield. We used to have kickboxing fights in. I went there for several times.
Yes.
And of course, like you said, Tachi Palace has hosted so many fights. They had guys like Mayweather there, to us, to WEC, to all kind of events. The Central Californian dudes have always been fighters, man.
Very
you guys
tough.
know what I was talking about LA in the early 80s, Central California get down. There's some gangsters out there for real, man. So there's some tough guys out there. I've actually trained a few ex-gang members and stuff from Central Cali, those areas. Anyway, what I would tell the guys, there's a lot of big-hearted guys out there, a lot of guys with heart, ain't scared of nothing, will fight at the drop of a dime. I would tell them the most important thing, once you lock in your dreams or your plans or your aspirations, is to try to come up with a plan that's tangible. In that plan, no man can do this alone. Francis had to leave on foot from Cameroon to get all the way to France, to sleep on gym floors and be homeless, to becoming a UFC fighter, to becoming a UFC heavyweight champion, now living in Las Vegas, has a Francis Ngannou Foundation in Cameroon, and opening up more and more Francis Ngannou Foundations throughout Africa. I'm telling you that to tell you that it's definitely possible for all of us, but you have to take a few steps. You have to be like Francis and just have ultimate perseverance. You have to really know and feel in your soul, not in your mind, because your mind can change. You got to feel it deep here in your gut that you can do this, and you have to be willing to get uncomfortable to do it. Secondly, once you figure that out and you really dedicated yourself to accomplishing your goal to become a boxer, kickboxer, or mixed martial artist, you have to try your best to find a competent team. And that's kind of hard. There's a lot of coaches got a bunch of fighters who's already doing good, already making money. Why would he want to spend time on you? So in doing that, you have to, come in there with a humble mind. You can't come in there disrespecting people, talking shit, being late for training. You have to go in there humble to win a coach's affection over, and that sort of thing. And I'm bringing this pointer up for one simple reason. A lot of dudes come off the streets and that are opposite on the streets, because I understand I come from that same element. And it's hard for them to make that transition to toning it down and being humble. And that's how you lose a lot of top-level trainers who won't deal with you, too. So when you put in your mind you want to accomplish this dream of becoming a fighter, you have to remember you just can't act like you already the world champion of the world and going to gyms with attitudes, talking back to your coaches, you know, being difficult because they won't deal with you. So you have to humble
Listen to this,
yourself
guys.
in the
Listen to this.
right areas. After that, you have to be willing to be like I was my whole career and like I am like a trainer right now. Not be outworked by any fucking body. You know, using profanity because this is to me the most important thing. Talent is great. Natural attributes are great. But I'll take the guy who ain't scared, who's willing to work hard, who's willing to push himself even over a guy with talent.
I like it. Hell yeah.
Because talent will take you far. But if you don't have the same mentality, even a talented guy can be broken down if you put that work in the right way. So be relentless about doing it, get a proper team, be humble and really become a family with your team. Work hard as hell. And then if a manager and things like that get interested, be selective. Be selective in who you pick as your manager. Make sure your coach and you talk and have input about your career. Because if you're winning, he's winning. And then get it going, man. The last little bonus nowadays, which we never had to worry about, social media. Social media is very important. Ryan Garcia that showed us that he's not even a world champion yet, and they talk about him as if he is a world title holder right now. He's not even a world champion, and he gets more acclaim, more conversations, more followers than all the champions out there in his weight class. So the last step, get your social media up. Find the lane, find the personality, find something that people like, and develop your social media. With a huge following, social media wise, you'll get to those channels of getting promoters and people wanting to see you fight much quicker than without. In my day, it was about who was the toughest, who had a good coach, and whose coach would call up promoters and eventually get a manager excited about working with you. Nowadays, it's way more levels, way more different angles. And your social media, you have the power to control that in your own hands. Really work that and get that social media presence up because that can get you fights also. And after that, just work hard and you'll end up leveling out where you're supposed to be. I'm a firm believer in the universe provides us with everything. We just have to find it and take it. So wherever you end up in your life is just a reflection on where you're supposed to be, in my opinion. So we got to work hard and claw your way to the top, be smart, put a little Mayweather pinch in there, make smart business choices as far as fights, especially early on in your career, if possible, and navigate yourself to the highest level if you have that ability and if it's meant for you to achieve that by God. You know, it's complicated, but it can happen. All you youngsters out there, Central Cali and all over the world, if you really want to do this, watch Joe Rogan podcast with Francis Ngannou. He'll tell you his story. His story was crazy because he came from a third world village, a third world country, where they had no fighters. No one did what he was able to do. And it's relevant because it just happened. You know, it happened recently. So we can see that anything is possible if you got the heart, the mind, the balls to really make this shit happen, man. So that would be my advice to these guys.
Heard it right there, guys. You heard it right there.
And the last thing, stay away from negativity. You can't be doing that street shit if you're trying to become a professional or something. So you have to kind of, I'm not saying shun your friends, but start isolating yourself around like-minded people. That's why the team is so important. That's why I said make your team more like a family. So then you'll have someone to go to the movies with and kick it with who ain't going to be smoking drugs and getting drunk all the fucking time. You know what I mean? All these things are important because if you're around it, it will drown you and stop you from accomplishing those great bright lights that you wanted to accomplish for real. And that's a fact. I had to do it myself. You know, so those are the components of having a chance to be successful in this tough in these tough pugilistic sports that we love so much.
That last thing you said, guys, might be one of the hardest things, but probably one of the smartest things you'll hear. And sometimes, man, some of the guys out there, you think they're your best friends, and you're probably hella cool with them. But some of those guys can drag you down in the wrong way, and you got to make the right decisions with who you hang out with. That's for damn sure. That's for damn sure.
And well, a lot of hip hop dudes out there. There's a lot of dudes that like rap music. Everybody know that Rick Ross Drake song. If they wasn't with you shooting in the gym, you don't need to be around them, man. Other words, they gotta be there, showing you support, being there for you for what you need, not being a distraction and trying to detract you from the things that you need. That's so important, man.
Wow. Yeah.
Dewey, serious words of wisdom there.
That's why I wanted to get you on the show. Dewey, our show is coming to an end, man. Thank you for staying so long. Hey, thank you for coming on the show. Guys, remember, I could say it, Dewey could say it, Archie could say it. Life can be tough, man. It can knock you down, but the important thing is that you get back up and you keep going forward, man. There's a lot of hard things have happened this last year, but we're all trying to push forward and get through it. Dewey, wish you the best in your life and your coaching and anything that you do. We're going to take a trip out there to do an Inside the Dojo here once everything opens back up. I hope you'll welcome me and Archie into the gym. Guys, listen to this stuff again, man. Listen closely to what people like this say. There's a lot of young dudes that have so much heart, and a lot of them do come out of the gangs around here. And but they come into the gym with this attitude that they're too tough and they know it all. Listen, just accept it. You don't know it all. Open your mind, listen to the coach, and maybe you can get to that level. So thanks again, Dewey. We appreciate it, my brother. Archie?
And last thing.
Go ahead, Dewey. Last words,
You learn more through listening, not through talking. So, you come in those gyms, listen to those coaches, especially guys who have fought, who have made it to high levels, who have won championships. It's like me. I told you I'm a 9-time world championship winning coach. I won 5 world titles with the boxer, Jessica Rakoczy. I won a world title with Beirut Shumanov, and we ended up losing that belt to Benoit Hopkins live main event on Showtime. That was WBA light heavyweight belt. I won the WBO welterweight world title with Jesse Vargas, knocking out Olympian Saddam Ali, and we lost the belt in a tough fight to Manny Pacquiao, HBO. Then I won a world title with the undefeated kickboxer Amir Abdallah, WKA cruiserweight world title. Then I won a world title with bare knuckle boxer Christine Fierro. And now I just won another great accolade, the heavyweight UFC world title with Francis Ngannou. Guys, you can accomplish a lot of things as long as you're willing to work. Remember, Dewey 6 Ds to destiny: dedication, determination, discipline, devotion, desire, and drive, and you will reach your destiny, guys. Thank you for the love. Hey, man, you guys come to Vegas, holler at me.
Thank you, Dewey.
We'll be there, Dewey. We'll be there.
You heard it right there. Yes, all right, guys. Hey, everybody out there, we love you, man. We'll see you on the next show.
Hey, so your gym's open, right, Dewey?
Yeah, absolutely. It's open right now. I'm just not there. I'm still
24 hours.
Quarantine.
Right.
Everything's good.
You got it, my brother. We'll be seeing you soon, Tom. We're going to take a trip to Vegas. Dewey, we're going to hit you up.
Right on. If you're on my Instagram, by the way, DC Black Cobra is the Instagram. If you go there, you can see the gym. All those cool-ass videos I'm putting out, that's at the gym.
Okay. Well, check it out. You guys heard it right here.
We'll be seeing
HAMMERFIST podcast. MMAFightPass.com, guys.
All right. Out.
Later.